My name is Julie Kennedy. I am a product manager looking after APD. Thank you for joining this session to learn about how the APD app can help expedite your product design in the cloud. So just a quick reminder, anything we say that's future is covered under a safe harbor agreement or contract or whatever the right word is, statement. I'll give you a minute to read this. I'm sure you've all memorized it by now. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how you can use additions for product maintenance. We've heard from our customers consistently that we want to talk more about how we can manage our products going forward, not just new product launches. We'll talk about our Flame enhancements. We'll talk more in depth about product segmentation, an exciting feature we're delivering in Flame. I'll do a product demonstration, a couple of them actually. Then we'll review things and we'll open it up for questions and answering. We will have a mic runner as well as you can do your questions in the app. So let me remind you, what is APD? What's the purpose of APD? It is to empower insurers like you to rapidly design and update insurance products to adapt to changing market demands. So let's talk about how you can use additions to manage your products. So initially, of course, you have to make a product. So this could be a brand new innovative product, or it could be something like personal auto where you're just getting started on Guidewire. You make a new product in APD app, you make a few additions, you code gen in Policy Center, you promote your APD content via Workset Manager, which don't get hung up on that. We'll talk about that in another session. You'll promote your Policy Center code through Guidewire Cloud Console. You'll go to production, maybe get some feedback from your agents or customers, and you'll come back in a year and you'll update your product. And it's so easy with APD. All you have to do is create a new workset in Workset Manager, go to the APD app, choose the product you want to update, and make your updates, just like that. Then you use a Workset Manager to promote that along the way with no downtime. And you repeat that over and over and over again, assuming you're just making rule changes, of course. If you want to add something new, it's just as easy too. All you have to do is create a workset, make your changes in the APD app, promote that in Workset Manager, and then promote your Policy Center build in Guidewire Cloud Console. So in Flame, we've made several enhancements to the APD application. We're introducing product segmentation. We started this journey last year with jurisdictional variations. This year, we're going to now enable you to create your own custom segments, like brand, channel, partner, business type, number of houses, anything you can think of. The segments are created and they are stored at the star system level, which means you can reuse those segments over and over and over again in your insurance products, and in the future, even other services like rating or rules. But we're not forcing you to use those segments on each and every line. They're actually configured per line, so you can use them differently depending on what line of business you're talking about. For the platform, we've enhanced it to be able to have better performance. We've got feature parity now with the APD inside Policy Center, which is one of our big goals for the year. And we're automatically provisioning this application for new Guidewire Cloud customers. And if you need to have a provision for you and you're already on Elysian, just open one single ticket. And finally, we're starting our journey with APD and claims. So as part of the Flame launch, we're launching an early access program for APD and claims where you'll be able to take advantage of basic FNOL generation, general damage screens, where you can then take in an unverified policy first notice of loss. So let's talk more about product segmentation. Why would you use it? Well, the obvious reason is that you would want to change your products to keep up with your market demands, but they're always changing. You want to improve your customer experience, your insurance buying experience, by tailoring your offering to meet your customer needs. So they don't have to worry about what kind of coverages they want, if they're a hairdresser or if they drive a Tesla. How will you do that? Well, it's interesting. You'll use the existing framework that you're already familiar with additions, just creating more segments for that. And when can you do it? Of course, you can do it in Flame. All right, so I have a demo here. The demo video is recorded, but I'll talk through it for you. As I was practicing, I did notice there's a couple slow spots, so bear with that. So here's our mind map, which I downloaded from Guidewire Go Marketplace. It's for a personal homeowner. I'm reviewing it here with my business to make sure it meets their needs, looking at the coverages, limits, deductibles that are all configured here in the mind map, getting ready to instantiate that in APD. So of course I'm validating Section 2, Section 1 coverages. This all looks great. I have the right limits and clause terms. I'll get ready to input this into APD soon. So I'll go to Guidewire Cloud Home, select the APD Cloud app, make sure I'm in the right context of my project, go to APD, and import that mind map. I guess I'm showing here that we have Policy Center running. We already have all these products configured in my personal development environment. We have quantum watercraft, cyber, French personal auto, and some marine cargo. You can import this through a mind map, a template, or start from scratch right in APD. I'm going to use a mind map. This takes a quick minute, but all you have to do is select the file, and it imports. This creates the product in APD for further refinement. This is only the base product. This is not additions. There are no rules in the mind map. So right away, my base product is generated for me inside APD. It's effective all the time until you expire it. I'll go ahead and apply that. I have to check this product out to make updates to it. This prevents other users from making similar updates or creating conflicts. So I'll check it out. Now it's locked by me. These icons are exactly the same as they are in the mind map. These are all the risks that were imported from the mind map. This is the homeowner's line, and I want to look at the attributes, the coverages, conditions, and exclusions, which are relatively familiar to all of you. I think I'll add a new coverage here. It's a very creative coverage called New Home Coverage. And I'm a terrible speller, even on a demo, when someone's watching me. So let that happen. What I want to show here is how easy it is to create a new product, the deductibles and limits. This is a business-friendly tool, so someone that understands the insurance product can actually do the configuration. I'm choosing which category here this will show up on the screens in Policy Center. I think I'll choose additional coverages, and I'll save this. And then I'll go to my clause terms, and you'll see along the way that I'm creating new clause terms for this coverage and limits for this coverage as well. The pattern is always the same. You add something, you create the label, you make the short name. There's validations along the way to help you and guide you, making sure that you're not making mistakes that can cause trouble in the code in the future. Unfortunately, there's no spell check. I'm making this type here of dropdown, but of course you could have decimal, dates, any kind of type. I'll save that. And then I'll go ahead and start defining my actual dropdown values. So here you can reuse a dropdown that's already been created, so you don't have to keep creating the same package options or the same limit dropdowns over and over and over again. I'm going to just choose to make a regular new limit. There's a little ghost button there. I'll name it limit. You can name it whatever you want. This is what shows in the Policy Center screens. Value type is going to be money for this particular type of limit. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my new limits and deductibles. So I'll add 500 and 1,000. Choose my currency. In this case, I'm choosing US. You can see that I typed that wrong, of course. Let me point that out to you. All right, so we configured our whole coverage, our limits, our deductibles. And I think my next step here is I'm actually going to talk about tags a little bit. Tagging is an option that we added to allow you to add metadata to our product or to your product that doesn't impact Policy Center in any way, but it is in the JSON file. So you can interpret that JSON rules in your digital front ends or any downstream system. We have hard-coded rate, risk score, and submission because they existed previously in the APD and PC. You can remove them if you want to, but I'm going to add a tag of visibility. My interpretation of this is if this tag exists, the coverage should be visible. So if I'm making my digital front end and I want to show this coverage, I'll have this tag on it. This tag, once it's configured in the product, is available in the entire product for you. You can use it anywhere else in the hierarchy, but it is not available to you in other products. So I'll add that there. In the future, I'll show you how to make that visibility tag vary depending on where you are in the hierarchy. All right, so let me go create an addition. And then I remembered, oh, right, I'm supposed to create a segmented edition with my new affinity group. So I go in there and I say, oh, I can't do that. How do I add a segment? Let me show you. So we're going to go to Workset Manager. And again, let's not get too hung up on that. But there's a special spot in Workset Manager where you're going to add your selectors. And in terms of APD, selector and segment are the same thing. We put them in Workset Manager because it's a star system level. We wanted you to be able to share them a lot across all of your products. We have these in here, and this is my development environment. These are not out of the box. They're just ones that I created for testing. But they might resonate with some of you. But I'm going to create an affinity group selector. We call it a selector because when you think about how APD and our cloud services work, there's metadata at the top of that resource, which helps Policy Center find which one to actually use in the case of this submission. Right? That's how they select the resource. So I'm going to add AARP, AAA, and then I'm going to try to imagine another one. It starts with A, apparently, but I'm going to end up with Masons. Inside this box, what you do if you want to have a different label for your value, so maybe you want to have a code, value 1, value 2, value 3, but on the screen you want to see something like a AAA or Masons. You just put the code, the pipe, and the label. There's instructions there inside the box. If you want to look at your selectors or edit them, you just go to the row, highlight the row, and here you are able to edit these. Now, if these had been used in already been used by APD or rating of rules, they would not be able to be deleted. Here's all the ones that are available to me in my star system. Let's go back to APD and create our segment. So I'm going to go to Advanced Product Designer, and I'm going to choose my homeowner product. I'm going to create a segment at the line level. Just go to an attribute here at the line. I'm going to create one for affinity. Not type it well. I'll choose my special type here called segment. When I choose that, what happens is it calls out to Workset Manager and gets a list of all the selectors that I created in that Workset Manager. I'll choose the affinity select segment. Once I've done that, this is associating this APD product with that selector. This dropdown that I made with AARP, AAA, and the Masons cannot be managed in APD. It must be managed in Workset Manager, unlike other dropdowns, which can be managed in APD. All right, so now I'm ready to create an addition. My base addition now is applying to all of my segments, my jurisdictional variations, and my new affinity group. This one's for California, AARP, so I'll name it that. I chose lowercase to make it look a little bit clearer on the screen. I'm going to add some data here, including effective dates and expiration dates for my addition. Give it an identification, and now I can choose from my segment details my jurisdiction, which in this case is California, and my affinity group, which I want to use AARP. These dropdowns are multiple select, so if you have additions that apply to multiple things, you can multi-select this list. Once I choose this addition, any rules I make are in the context of that addition. So I wouldn't be worrying about affecting my base or any other additions that I have configured. I'll use my properties icon here to look at some of my available properties. These are the details. For properties here, I can use usage, which is like availability or hidden. I can make a default value, and I can make some tag rules. I'll talk about that later. In this case, I want to make coverage A and coverage B suggested. Look at this long list of coverages that the customer would have to sort through. This is going to be suggested, and I'll do the same thing for coverage B. In visualize mode in Policy Center, you have to sync with the cloud to make additions work, but in install mode, you don't have to. In install mode, additions are automatically promoted along in Workset Manager, and Policy Center knows which addition to use based on the selectors that you created. Let's go to Policy Center now and see how our California AARP pans out. First, I want to show you how the product management screen looks inside Policy Center when you're managing your product in the APD app. You can see here the sources are all the cloud, which means it cannot be managed here. It can only be updated from the cloud. You can't import it directly into Policy Center, but you can view it here. So here's my California edition. I'm just showing here that my availability rule, which is suggested for coverage A and coverage B, are there right for you to see in Policy Center. They cannot be changed. Let's make a submission for Ray Newton. So I'll go to my visualize products, choose homeowner. I'm in California because my account is there. And I'll choose my affinity group of AARP. Once I add a risk object, I can see that my standard coverages have been updated to suggest coverage A and coverage B. There we go. Now, since they were just suggested, I could delete them here from submission. Now, let's go back and manage some products. So this demo, I'm going to show you how to manage a product and a couple of things about making tag rules. So remember, we added personal auto in that last demonstration. Now I'm going to do some modification to my quantum boat product. So I'll select that product, quantum boat or watercraft. I want to also provide an addition here for affinity group as well. So I'll choose my base edition. In the exact same way, now you think about this was in production. Now here I am in my new work set, managing my product. I'll go to the product model, the base edition, and I'll add the affinity group segment just like I did for the homeowner product at the line level. And it's the same exact list of segments that I already saw on the homeowner table because, again, this is coming from the Workset Manager, which is star system level. I'll save this really quickly. And I'll make some additions now for my boat product based on my new affinity group for Massachusetts. Enter the same kind of data. I'm not going to end this one. I want to leave it to be effective for a long time. I'm not sure when I'm going to make a new product update, so I'm going to leave this open-ended. I'll choose Massachusetts and choose my AARP. I'm pretty lucky. I have a place in California and Massachusetts. And I'll make some rule changes. I'm going to make physical damage coverage for this particular boat product for Massachusetts AARP suggested. Now, while I was here, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about tags. Actually, I'm going to go through, I guess, make some clause term changes. Similarly, exactly the same way, you can do these availability rules at any level where you have properties available to you. So in this case, I've made my boat coverage suggested, and I've suggested my limit to be 1,000. I'll check that back in. Now let's go to homeowner and update that product in this work set. In this case, I remembered that I had to actually make some rules on my tags about when that visibility tag should apply. So I'm going to go to my coverage here. I'm going to add my visibility tag, which, remember, I configured that before, but now it's available on this whole product. And then I'll go to my properties here, and I can actually make rules about that tag. So in this case, I want to make a rule that says this tag applies unless this condition happens. And so I'll try to remember the name of the field, and I don't remember it. And we actually have it on our backlog to solve this type ahead in this model so that you don't have to go back like I'm going to have to show how to find a field. So I'm thinking, which field do I need to call? I'm trying to remember where it is. I'll go back here and show you. But don't worry, it's super easy. Cancel there. I'll go look at my attributes and try to figure out which field it is. I'm going to settle on the field about has your home policy been covered by insurance continuously? And I think that's important to know because if I haven't, maybe I want to change how my user interacts with coverage E. So I'll go to my tags, just like I do for any other property rule. I have availability to be able to make this rule specific in this condition. If this coverage, this question is false, then this tag will not apply. That means, however I interpret it, my coverage will not be available on my digital screen. Finally, I'm going to add some more tags. You can add more than one tag per element. So in this case, I'm going to add another tag for premium brand. And you might be wondering why I don't use segments for this particular thing. I thought, well, I don't really have a segment for this, but maybe on my digital front end, for a specific kind of customer, I don't want to have them interact with this coverage at all. I want it either to be automatically there for them, or they don't have to look at it, or maybe it's not available on the digital side only. But in PC, it's definitely there. So I added my premium brand only. And then I'm going to go back to my coverage, and I'm going to tag something with both the visibility and the premium brand. You have as many tags as you want. You can be as granular as you need them to be. Again, they have no impact on Policy Center, Claim Center, any centers. They're all for you to use. They're in the JSON payload as rules. Finally, I wanted to show you a quick update here about what we've done in Flen for claims on the APD app. We've added loss party type and exposure types, which are mappings that have to happen inside Claim Center from a coverage level. Now they'll happen automatically. It's one less thing you have to do in Claim Center. This list actually came from CC. Right now, it is hard-coded in APD. What the goal would be to have this be something that can be configured in CC and ultimately brought to the APD app per customer. All right, so let's talk about our roadmap a little bit. So in Flen, the APD app is generally available. This is a huge milestone for us. It's through all of your hard work and feedback that we're able to get to this place, so we really appreciate that. We made some enhancements on the APD app, including auto-provisioning on GWCP for customers that are new to Guidewire Cloud, as well as customers that are upgrading to Guidewire Cloud. If you're already on Elysian or Dobson, you can just open one ticket, and you'll be able to get the APD app provisioned. Of course, we did product segmentation in Policy Center, which I talked about. And for the APD app in Claim Center, we're starting an early access program to improve F&O generation, general damage screens, and policy intake for unverified policies. In Garmisch, we're going to make big progress on allowing you to access the APD APIs read-only as an early access program. We're looking to make an MVP of multi-line support in the APD app. In APD and claims, we're going to continue our journey, adding claim intake questions, incidents, and damageables. And of course, we're going to enhance the APD app in the Go library to have more content and actually availability to submit content through the APD UI. In the future, we're going to add potentially reference data management to the APD app, which will allow you to store like long lists, I guess type lists, like class codes and so on, so you can reference them from your applications on Guidewire Cloud Home. We'll add enhanced support for more complex commercial use cases, like SBTs, for example. In claims, we're going to add further support for incidents and damageables and for cloud APIs. And of course, on the Go product library, more lines and more asset types. So let's talk about what we talked about. We learned how to maintain our products with APD using additions. We talked about some Flen enhancements and had a demo about segmentation. We talked about the APD app for claims and how it's EA for Flen. So what is the EA program? And why should you be part of it? First of all, it helps you be the first to market with all the latest innovations, which beats out your competition. It ensures that features deliver business value. It's helping us validate that we're meeting your needs. And you're helping us to make sure that our requirements meet your requirements. When you join the EA program, you're agreeing to, first of all, I have to tell you that the EA program is limited access for specific selected customers. Not everybody will be allowed into the program. In exchange for the access to this new insurance suite features, prior to GA, you agree to participate in feedback sessions with us and provide on a monthly basis. And if you want more information about that, you can reach your customer account manager. Okay, we have 20 minutes, 18 minutes for questions, so let's fire them up. You can use the app, or you can raise your hand and someone will come with a mic.
Okay, so I think I'm supposed to ask questions. I don't know if this mic is on. Oh, now it's on.
Now it's on.
That's hot. Okay, so a couple of questions have come in through the app. So if you have not used the app before, you can go to this session in the Connections app, and it's very clear. It says kind of near the bottom, submit a Q&A. If you don't want to do that, you can raise your hand, like Julie said, and we'll come ask you. I have some softballs to start. So, all right. So when you were demoing, you checked out the product to make your changes. So the question is, if someone checks out a product, does that stop other developers from checking out and making changes at the, on the same product?
So if it's checked out, at the time it's being checked out, yes, you cannot make, there's no collaboration at this time on the same product. If I check it back in, of course, you can check it out and then make product changes.
Okay. So I'm wondering if this next question is kind of related.
Okay.
It says, when you demoed your changes in Policy Center, was that a local instance of Policy Center or a test environment that multiple people could be using?
It's a test environment multiple people can be using. There's not a local PC instance for the cloud.
Perfect. Okay, so those were the two questions currently submitted. I can keep moderating these, but if there's anybody in the room that has a question. Oh, that was easy.
Just relating to the check-in, check-out in the environment, do you establish what your starting environment is for the promotion cycle, or is it every time you promote, guys? You can choose what environment you promote to.
So that's a good question, and it's a little bit complicated, but I'll try to do it here. And if not, I'll do a workset manager session right after this one in the demo theater, so that might be more helpful. But when you check out of APD, you're in a particular workset. That workset is assigned to a planet, which is a PC instance, right? Typically, when you're doing development, it's a dev instance of PC. When you promote that in workset manager to the next step, which could be review or draft or approved and finally production, you assign that workset to a different planet depending on what class you're in. In workset manager.
Okay, I have another question that came in through the app. The question is, there was an announcement last year about a retro engineering product feature, maybe APD retrofit. Is it already available?
So APD retrofit is available. I want to clarify what that actually means for you, right? So there is not a path for you to take your Policy Center configurations and convert them to APD and then manage them in APD, meaning you can't use the app and design the product like I showed you here today. But what's really great about retrofit is you can export your PC configuration, import it to the APD app, and then use all the cloud technology around APD to continue to enhance your products. If you need to go back and make a coverage change or whatever, you need to go back to policy design, product designer, and re-retrofit, which takes a small amount of time compared to the first time.
Do we have other questions in the room? I don't see any hands. Let me see if there's any other questions in the app. I don't see any in the app.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Nicole?
So when you make the configurations in APD, what does it look like? What is the process for actually testing your change to make sure that you're going to see what you're expecting?
Right, so you make the changes in the APD app. You log into the Policy Center, your dev planet, wherever you're doing your configuration. You synchronize with the cloud, and then your changes from the APD app are instantiated in PC, and they're not installed, they're in a visualized mode. You test them there, and you keep going back into the APD app, making more changes, coming to PC, and repeat until you're finally happy with that, and then you can code gen in PC to install that. But once it's visualized in PC, and in fact, even before that, other teams can start using the APD metadata to start doing their work.
Okay, another question in the room. And we've got a couple more that are coming in through the app, so keep them coming. We have some time.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. Is there a training specific to the APD and the new things
Yes,
that have
there
been
is.
added?
Yeah, it'll be launched this week.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll ask a couple from the app, but please don't be shy in the room. If you have a question, raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you. There is a question that says, will this demo be made available? I'm wondering if that means, will this presentation be available?
I don't know actually how they, logistically, how they're going to show this demo. It's recorded, so I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere. We can get back to you. Do you have that person's, can we reply not live?
I don't, but if you registered for Connections, you will have access to these recorded sessions.
Okay, good.
If that was your question and we did not ask the correct question or answer it correctly, please raise your hand and we can fix that. Let's see. Okay, so there's another one that says, when starting a new product from scratch, how is it possible to map exposure types from Claim Center? No product in Claim Center in this scenario in my mind.
So let me see if I can understand. So you're starting a new product from scratch and you don't have an existing product in Claim Center, and you want to know how to map those exposure types from the APD app to your future product in Claim Center? Do I have it right? Yes. Okay. So the exposure types that are currently in the APD app are the ones that exist in Claim Center. So in the case where you might add a brand new one to Claim Center, we'd have to open a request to add that to the list that's in APD app right now. In the future, though, we're going to find a way to generate the APD app metadata from CC, so configurations that you make there will be able to be pulled in. That's future. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. Another question in the app. Again, if you have a question in the room, get ready to raise your hand. So this is a question about lines of business. The demo was for auto coverage. Have any customers used APD to build management liability products like D&O, EPL, cyber, et cetera?
We actually have a couple customers right now that are using the APD, not the app, because the app is early access, but using APD itself to make financial package products with these kind of coverages.
Other questions in the room? There's one. See how quickly I can get over there.
In case I wasn't clear, the APD app does have parity with APD and PC. So if you're working in APD and PC and you want to move to the APD app, it's a very simple process.
I'm an integration developer. Don't know much about the externers, but let's say my company, let's say 5 of them in my company wanted to try APD. Should all of us go through cloud, or can we have standalone installations?
So are you from a partner, is that what you said? Customer?
Customer, yes.
Yeah. The APD app is part of the Policy Center bundle. So it's not available just to play in unless you have a Policy Center license.
Gotcha. So right now we are on Policy Center 10. And
Oh, I see. Yeah, the APD app is only available in the Guidewire Cloud.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's hard to see with the lights. Are there any other questions? Oh, one more over here.
Can you talk a little bit about the coming enhancements as far as APD for policy, and then you showed something and you said it was like hard-coded for the claims options
yeah,
it can pre-fill. So is it hard-coded in plain, and then it would have to be a future release for that more seamless integration of what you'd have to do to keep the claims edits in check?
So let me go back to the right slide so I make sure I'm on the same page as what you're asking. On the roadmap, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And so on the APD and claim side for FLEN, what's early access is the ability to actually use APD to instantiate the Claim Center line of business to create the FNOL flow. unverified policies in ClaimCenter. In Garmish, we're working on an ability to be able to export the configuration for incidents and damageables. Damageables is a word we come up with that just describes what is damaged, whether it's a person, a building, just kind of like a one umbrella word to capture what that means. So you'll configure them in ClaimCenter, export that into a mind map, and be able to import that into APD. So that way we're always making sure that your APD product model that's used for PC and CC are in sync with each other, so the mapping is actually happening in a more seamless way.
Can I ask you a clarification on that? So if you set it up in ClaimCenter and you export it and put it back into PC, what's the benefit of putting it back into PC? Does it allow it more editability, or?
So you put it in if you put it in from CC to APD and you use that product model for the PC model, when you do policy search and retrieve, it'll map and find the right fields to map with.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then future? Like
Oh, yeah.
The expansion? Sorry, I interrupted.
So that's all right. Which part? The APD and claims? So in future, we're actually going to, we hope to be able to create a library of the existing ClaimCenter objects that you can just actually use as building blocks to build your products instead of having to run a script process to get that into APD. And then we want to allow you to actually create the ClaimCenter stuff. So maybe you want to create a line of business for cover horses. So there's no horse incident in ClaimCenter. You want to actually create a brand new incident for horses, a new damageable for horses. You'll be able to do that in APD and push it to PC as a product and CC as a claim, incident in claims line of business.
But at least for right now, you're going to have to do export and import.
Yeah,
and have direct
correct.
connectivity. Yep. All right.
And in Flen, it's less than that. In Flen, it is just the ability to instantiate the line of business in ClaimCenter, starting with APD.
Okay. Go ahead.
Are there other questions in the room? We have about 5 minutes left. Okay, one more here. We have one more in the app, too.
So you described a process of doing the APD mapping, visualization, that round trip to evolve the product, and then generating the code. What strategies would you recommend for maintaining that generated code so that in the future, APD can still be used to evolve that product?
So the APD managed files, as long as you continue to manage the files that APD manages in APD, the code is actually separate. APD keeps it separate for you. So you don't have to worry about custom code that you've made in Product Designer as long as you're not touching files that APD manages. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Okay, so kind of on the same theme as roadmap, the question in the app is, do you anticipate the future reference data management feature will have API access?
I haven't really given it much thought, but I don't see why it wouldn't.
All right. Any other questions in the room for Julie? Oh, they keep sneaking in the app. All right. Very logical question because APD obviously available for Policy Center. Now we're talking about it being available for Claim Center. So the next obvious question, will there be an APD for Billing Center?
We mean, honestly, why wouldn't there be an APD for Billing Center? I don't know when, but certainly we would look into it.
Okay, everyone's coming in hot at the very end. Okay, I'm trying to scan it to make sure it's relevant. All right, I think you mentioned during the demo that changes would only apply to a single edition. Can you apply changes to multiple editions at once? For example, each state has its own edition and multiple states need the same update.
It's an interesting concept because depending on the day and who you ask, we either always want to inherit or push, or we never want to inherit or push. So our plan is, it's on our roadmap, it's just not on the slide, to be able to actually compromise and allow you to select, I'm adding this thing, I want to push it to these editions. Which ones, so on. And what's really going to happen behind the scenes is creating a new edition with the right effective date so that change gets applied properly. All right, thank you very much.